Hey, it's Dr. Rimka. Today's YouTube video, I am talking about some of the mistakes that people are making with the ketogenic diet. And they're really kind of costing you, because what the goals you're trying to get by going keto, if you don't do some of the things right, you're just kind of messing those up and actually maybe making some things worse. So I hope you enjoy this video. I made it back in the summertime, so you'll notice there's actually some lush things, and I just watched it really quick and said, oh yeah, let's do this. Well, I want you to know I've learned a few things. Obviously, I'm always learning and finding better products, and something I utilize now that relates to nutritional ketosis and the benefits of ketosis, because there's no doubt having your body be in a ketogenic state is beneficial to you. Well, I found a hack, a bypass to put any person's body into ketosis in 1 to 2 hours. It's called a fasting mimetic. And so a mimetic is something that mimics and creates a physiological state. So in a combination of plant botanicals that activate certain pathways in your body, the AMPK pathway, right, for autophagy and detoxification, and turning off the mTOR, work to create this deep detoxification autophagy state where you go in and chew up all the stuff, put you in a fasting state as if you haven't eaten in a long time, but then allows you to go ahead and eat and enjoy life very, very well. So you get the benefits of fasting without having to do long fasting at all, and the benefits of my kind of protein based bare minimum ketosis, ketogenic kind of diet, low carb lifestyle. So I will have that information in the bottom in the description after you watch it. So it's just a way to upgrade any type of low carb lifestyle is taking a fasting mimetic. I take a fasting mimetic because I want to keep activating AMPK and having a nice turn off of my mTOR from time to time to increase autophagy, to increase nutritional ketosis. And if I eat something, if my patients that say want to eat carbs, they want to have some alcohol, I can push them right back into ketosis very, very quickly without having to go really, really extreme. So we're getting the detoxification benefits, fatty liver healing, weight loss like crazy, ketone bodies for the brain performance, anxiety and depression, and mental clarity. And I can get it pretty much on demand with this great product that's also anti-cancer because it activates your sirtuin. So it's a longevity product, really. It is not ketone salts. It is not exogenous ketones. So I'll do some more videos about that, but it prompted me to say, well, maybe we add this in. So check it out. You can look at the link in the description and it'll take you to my website and you can learn more. And I have a few little series of videos that we will release to help you understand this longevity, sirtuin, AMPK modulating, synergistic plant botanical, really powerful nanotech, right? I can say all the words, but you got to check it out. It's changing my patients' lives in terms of their mental clarity, their fatty liver disease, their insulin resistance. And when you get that all settled, the weight just falls right off. See ya. Enjoy the video. All right, really quick little video. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. So ketosis, it's the big buzzword. Everyone's trying to get in a ketotic state, nutritional ketosis, ketogenic diets. These are all the big rage right now. You can go online and find a ton of systems to get you in ketosis, a ton of ketosis coaches, books on it, everywhere. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and Google it. I don't think I've actually written about it directly on my website because I don't have blogging time anymore. But what is ketosis? It means it's a nutritional state that the body is using primarily these fat bodies called ketone bodies. So basically thinking of it as it's using fat as the primary source of your
fuel rather than glucose, right? Typically it happens in people who are very metabolically flexible, meaning we can go from ketones to glucose very, very quickly, and it's no big deal. So you can have some fruit and then be able to quickly convert back into using your fat stores in your body when there's nothing. So if you're somebody that gets, let me give you a little test, a little quick test. Are you metabolically flexible or not? If you need to eat every 2 hours or 3 hours because you get hangry, angry, irritable, weak, dizzy, whatever, in a couple hours of not eating, you are not metabolically flexible. It means your cells are highly dependent upon using sugar and don't have the capability of going into your fat stores easily to pull out your own fat and use that to change it around and turn it into what are called ketone bodies, which are a very clean energy source for everything, but particularly your brain. All right? So, a lot of you are doing ketosis. A lot of you are doing ketogenic diets, and people are slathering fat. So typically people refer to a ketogenic diet as a low carb, high fat diet. And some people are just slathering on sticks of butter and tablespoons of coconut oil and really focusing on the fat. And the problem people are doing is they're forgetting about the protein. And they're limiting the protein. And I have to say I disagree really strongly with that whole way of doing it. So I have way too many people that are coming into me that are not hitting their daily protein goals at all because they're more concerned with adding a lot of fat. They're more concerned about the concept of gluconeogenesis, which is making glucose, generating it, neogenesis, from excess dietary protein. And they're doing a lot of what's called intermittent or extended fasting right now. And again, I teach extended fasting, water fasting, people where you don't eat anything. You just drink water for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever we need to do. Yes, I do that. I do it myself. People have seen me do that, okay? So when you're not eating anything, you don't actually hit any protein goals. We got that. Now, the other big rage is intermittent fasting, or IF. When people are doing that, they're shortening their eating window. So their feasting window in the day is somewhere between 1 hour, right? 1 hour or 2 hours or 4 hours. A very common one is 6 hours. Another eating window is 8. I wouldn't even call that fasting. I'm going to say my general rules are you should not be eating, little golden tip here, longer in an 8 to 9 hour window in your day. So your feasting window should never be more than 9, maybe 10 hours at a max. So that means if you wake up and have something to eat at 6 o'clock in the morning and you don't eat again until 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night is when you're finishing dinner, that's a really long time, right? That's 15-hour eating window. All right, so I want you to think about that. So the feasting window. So when people fast intermittent, they shorten that window. Well, if you're only eating one meal a day, which is some people call OMAD, it's really hard to hit those protein goals, okay? So yes, you can be in ketosis, but what is the reason you're trying to be in ketosis and what is the cost of that ketosis? So unless you're in ketosis to deal with something like stopping epileptic seizures, dealing with a cancerous brain tumor, or even going after something like Alzheimer's, you don't need to be cutting down your protein and fasting as much as you are. So I'm going to go against the grain here on this, on how much intermittent fasting has gotten a little bit excessive, because I can't tell you how many clients I have, and men and women both, to be honest. I think it strikes women more that are simply not eating enough protein. So a little tip here, because I had the unpleasant, unfun moment of my day of being with one of my patients who was recently diagnosed with we went from dementia. Now we have actually seen amyloid plaquing on the PET scan, and it's mild Alzheimer's. So she's 75 years old and amazing, but what I've been trying to do to get her to change her diet has been truly unbearable, and I have not been convincing enough for her to make this happen. And now we're getting this diagnosis. So now I'm trying to explain to a 75-year-old about 75-year-old about ketones and what we have to do. And I'm like, this is why I have you on this supplement. This is why I have you on this. But that's what's actually going on. So as is your muscle, so goes your brain. This is why skeletal muscle is the platinum gold bounded nuggets of metabolism, of health, and the older we get, we cannot afford to lose it. Okay? And the sad part is, now I've got 20-year-olds who don't even have any muscle. They never had any muscle. 15-year-olds, no muscle. 8-year-olds, no muscle. Right? So, again, older we get, the more critical it is. I'm controlling the health of my brain by growing my skeletal muscles. The blood sugar, insulin, all of this that goes on, why Alzheimer's is called type 3 diabetes. It's because it's related to what you're eating. It's because you're in a constant sugar, insulin dysregulation moment because you're not in a ketogenic state most of the time. And your skeletal muscle is the one that's helping control all that hormonal signaling. And no one's working hard anymore physically. There's not enough hard exercise. There's no labor. Our lives have become very comfortable. So nobody cuts their grass anymore. Nobody cleans their house anymore. You know what I mean? No one's digging ditches and cutting down trees and going out and killing an antelope and all of that. Stuff that would give you natural responses to adapt. The muscle gets damaged, you have an adaptation, you get stronger. So the way we do that now is working out, throwing weights around and stuff like that. You need to do it a lot more than you are. Okay, but even at 2-3 times a week would be a huge thing. So, but you need to eat protein. So you get 2 ways the skeletal muscle knows to grow. Working out, hard, heavy exercise, extremely hard. You have to rip the muscle apart. Okay, walking does not count. I just had this conversation all week. Women want to walk. They said, well, by hike Stone Mountain or this. Can I'm like, no. Can you go throw some rocks around your backyard? Flip a tire? Something. Again, walking is not hard. That's movement. It's not high intensity exercise. Okay. Number 2, the only way the skeletal muscle gets a signal to grow is by eating a certain amount of protein. Has to be a complete protein, which means it's an animal protein because it has to have 2.5 grams of leucine. You have to do a lot of work on that on a vegetarian or vegan diet, so I'm not going to address that in a short live. So that means 30 to 50 grams of protein. Yeah, at least 3 times a day. So me, I'm a 5'11", 145 pound woman. I need about 145 grams of protein per day, animal protein, complete protein. So I need more than 30 grams in each meal, right? So like what happens if I'm intermittent fasting and I'm eating 1 meal a day? Can I get my protein needs in that 1 meal a day? Probably not, right? I can't eat that much meat at once. And what's happening if I need to recover from an injury, right? Protein is a tissue regenerator, tissue builder. The fat inside the protein is where you get the energy. So you don't need to worry about eating all this extra fat. If you're hitting your protein goals and it's a fatty meat, like say salmon is kind of fatty, but like a ribeye, bacon, they're very fatty. So you're pulling out enough of fat that you're getting plenty of energy. So out of that protein, out of that meat, out of that complete protein, you're getting all your essential amino acids, which are the building blocks of all your structure, and is the building block of all your tissue regeneration if you're recovering from disease or injury or illness or anything, right? It is very hard to turn this body into animal muscle and animal fat from plants. Very hard. So as I'm recovering from mold biotoxin illness, the last thing I need to do is make everything harder on my body. So if you're recovering from diabetes, if you're recovering from Lyme, if you're recovering from mold, if you're recovering from Hashimoto's, ALS, I don't care what it is. Why would you, and especially if you have a digestive disorder, you really can't break down plants. Why would you make it any harder? So you're not hitting enough protein. So that like back at my weight loss seminars used to always do, my main number 1 goal, and I said it today, I had multiple people, I'm like, okay, I'll do a video. First thing I want everybody to do is hit 30 grams of protein 3 times a day at a minimum. Again, if you're a 6'4" guy, I want more than that. But I'm really stunned how many people are not eating the basic amount of protein. You don't need to go worry about ketosis yet, okay? Because if I give you all the nutrients that you get in like that red meat in particular. And with all the fat, you're going to have a lot of energy from the fat. Like your body's going to have the energy, and it's going to have all these amino acids. It's got plenty of vitamins and all that. So there's that. Only way I can get by without, yeah. So somebody even said, it's the only way I can get by without eating junk, because it's satiating. So you can't, I don't ever tell somebody, reduce all your carbs or reduce your sugar, and you don't give them something in place of that. You need fat. Fat is what makes you happy. The protein is doing a different thing. So the best way to get that satiety, and that is a fatty meat. It's why many times people will snack on bacon while they're trying to give up sweets. So I love sweets, I crave them too, so now I have to snack on bacon every time I want one of those. And I'm not spiking my insulin that much, my blood sugar's okay, and all that. And so we'll get more into the debate of inflammation, all that stuff around it, but it's all about getting enough protein. People are not, and I'm looking at people, and there's no skeletal muscle. People can't do pull-ups anymore, push-ups. You know, they can't do basic physical activities that everybody could do in the 50s. So ketosis, I think it's a huge, big mistake everybody's making by doing too much protein restriction and a little bit too much time-restricted feeding. I think the only reason you need to do time-restricted feeding, like the more carbs you eat, the more plants you eat, the more time-restricted feeding you need to do. So I'm just into kind of, once we get your hormonal signals right, and you actually have normal hunger signals. Most people don't in the beginning if they're dysregulated and sick. Don't trust your body, because actually it's so dysregulated, because people who trusted their body, they've eaten pizza and Skittles and Oreos. They trust their body. That's what their body tells them they want. So I don't tell you to trust your body. Actually, we need to reset it very specifically in a 6 to 12 week program. And then you're going to have normal food signaling, normal sleep signaling. And it's a very different story. You're going to feel completely different. So anyway, I'm going to go, guys. You're not hitting your protein, and you need to know your skeletal muscle is gold. You want to, and like, I have so much work to do. I wish I would have known even more about this. I wish I would have had the energy when I was so sick, and I would have had somebody hooking me up to muscle stim the whole time I was lying in my bed with such severe chronic fatigue. I was crying every day, wondering if I would make it to tomorrow. That was real. I totally get it. What I'm doing today will determine how I live the next 45 years. So sitting with that patient today, who I absolutely adore, who now I'm going to have to try to explain, like, I'm explaining these concepts to a 75-year-old with mild Alzheimer's, and she wants to try to stop it, and yet is still asking me, but can I have these sugar-free cookies? And I'm like, oh my God, can you eat a steak? You know, step one, I got to get you in ketosis. I got to flood that brain. It's how we can stop, hopefully. You can prevent it this way. You can hopefully we can stop, and hopefully we can try to reverse it. So anyway, there's that. You're not eating enough protein, guys, because I see people constantly, and it's leading to depression and weakness and fatigue and all this stuff, and you can't tissue repair. So be careful being so chasing the ketosis numbers and testing and being afraid, oh, protein will kick me out. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. But you can learn more about it with some of my programs that roll out, you know. Go to drrimka.com, learn more, and I'll check you out. Ciao.